I think 1 million people win the lottery in America every year, but that doesn't mean playing the lottery is a great investment strategy. And people go to Vegas. Some people win in Vegas. A lot of people don't win in Vegas. Also doesn't make it a great investing strategy.
We're here with Robert Farrington with The College Investor. Super excited to be having this conversation. Let's start, Robert. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So I started The College Investor when I was finishing college because I wanted to share my thoughts on money and investing. But like a lot of college students, I also graduated with $43,000 in student loan debt. And we really had to talk a lot about how do you overcome paying off your student loans while investing and building wealth? Because I think building wealth and seeing your money grow is the fun part, but we got to overcome some of those hurdles along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start there. For those students that may have college debt, what's some tips that you offer them for how they should start their investing journey?
Yeah, the earlier you start, the better, because like even if you have $100, like it can go a long way, and you don't think it's that big of a deal, but by the time you're 30 or 35, like that money you started investing when you're 18 to 22 can really be a nice chunk of change. So I really like to encourage balance. So if you can put $100, $200 away and see that grow, but at the same time, of course, make your debt payments and make sure you're working in the right direction there, it can really work out pretty well for you.
You talked about earlier,
Yeah.
and you mentioned 18 to 22. Does the investing journey, when it looks at 18, how does it evolve from 18 to 22 and beyond?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you have to get started. So whatever you want to do to get started, put money in the account. But for me, it looked like I started with individual stocks, and that was good and bad. So I had some really big winners when I started, which set me up in a way that was like, I can do this. I am an investing god. It can really work out. But then quickly followed up with losing a lot of money. And I realized maybe individual stocks aren't the best thing to do. So I started moving into ETFs and learning what long-term thinking looks like for investing. So do what you're comfortable with. As long as you're putting money away and investing for the future, it will work out for you.
Let's talk about long-term investing. And we think about people that may have college debt. What do you think is missing right now from that conversation that they would really benefit when they think about the long term?
The hard part is it's not fun, and you don't necessarily see the gains immediately. So if you only have $1,000 in the account and you make a 10% return, you made $100, but that doesn't really feel great. Like you're like, I did all this work and I only made $100. But what you don't realize is by the time 20 years have passed and you keep getting those types of gains, it really compounds and grows. And so I like to encourage people to look at that every single year. But if you start at 18, the 20-year time horizon is 38. If you're waiting until you're 40, the 20-year time horizon is now 60. So that's why if you start earlier, it can go a long way.
Yeah. You talked about starting when you were graduating college yourself. Have you seen your audience grow with you, or do you continue to target those students that are coming out of college?
We see both sides of that equation. We see college students and young adults, but we also see a lot of their parents. And their parents are trying to help them get on the right foot as well and thinking about how they can save for college or, how they can start opening accounts for them so that money can grow from them. So it's really fun to see both sides and see those conversations take place.
Yeah. What do you find is common in those conversations? What are some of the key things that both audiences need to be aware of?
I mean, parents want to see their kids be financially successful. I think it's universal. That's why they're sending them to college. That's also why they want to set them on the right path. And of course, people want to be financially successful. They want to see that wealth grow. So it's really helping them navigate the products and services. It's helping them navigate what all these terms are. And then it's helping them understand how they can get money into those accounts, even if it's like $100 a month.
Yeah. When you talk about the financial terms, financial literacy becomes really important. What tips do you have to offer for people to start their financial literacy education?
I like to meet people where they're at. And we live in a world where video is a big part of it. Podcasts are a big part of it. When I started The College Investor, writing in the web was a part of it, and it still is. But really, it's helping people learn these things in the right way where they are, because it's really hard to get someone to jump from a medium that they're comfortable with.
Yeah. You talk about video, and there's a lot of influencers that are offering different financial advice on video. What are some of the ways that people can be ensuring that they have the right financial literacy and the right financial education?
It's always trust but verify. We love our influencers. There's some really great people out there that are doing amazing things and sharing awesome content, but also verify. You want to go online, you want to go to trusted apps, you want to go to trusted services and see if what they say actually lines up with the truth. And also, does that truth apply to your situation? I see a lot of content out there that it's maybe a millionaire that's out there talking about these things, and their financial situation is very different than someone that's trying to grow and build wealth for the very first time and maybe starting at zero. So the tools, the services, the products that they might use for them might not apply to you when you're just starting out. So it could also be factually accurate, but also not for you.
Yeah. What tips do you have to offer for people that are looking at multiple income streams and how they can manage that and start their investing journey?
I'm a huge fan of multiple income streams because it's also my journey. So like I mentioned earlier, I graduated with $43,000 in student loan debt, and my first job was working at Target. So that was my main income stream. But then I started this writing at the College Investor, and that was one income stream. I also have a big passion for buying things and reselling collectibles. So I was doing that on eBay as well and making an income stream. And so all these income streams together allowed me to pay off my student loan debt in about 2.5 years. But I also able to invest at the same time. So I like to look at the pie of you can either cut your spending so that you could free up money, or you could grow your income to spend more if you wanted to, or invest more. And I like the growing your income piece, and that's why I really encourage people to look at multiple income streams, look at adding a side hustle, look at adding extra income. And now that I'm a little older, it's a lot easier to do when you're young. You have a lot more time than you think, because as you get older, you might have a family and kids and different obligations that make it harder to maybe do things on nights and weekends. But when you're 22, 24, and you don't have some of those obligations, it can be a lot easier to earn more money.
You've maintained a focus on people that are in college and graduating college. Why is this audience so important for you?
There's a huge amount of potential in this audience, but there's also not a lot of financial literacy education. So I stumbled into this. I am the accidental journalist and financial literacy expert because I had my own struggles and I wanted to write about it. And talking to people my age, they also just don't know, but they want to know. And so it's really my goal to help give them the tools and show them how that they could build wealth. Because if you can just get started, you could be so financially successful by the time you're in your 30s or 40s. And I'd love to see that, because I see the other side with parents and they're like, I want this for my kids because I'm approaching retirement and I haven't nailed it yet and I might have to work a little longer. And if you can give these messages to the younger audience, they can avoid some of those pitfalls and hopefully really have a financially successful life.
Yeah, let's talk about parents for 1 second. And what are some tips that you would offer to parents that are starting that financial literacy journey with their children?
I love this because financial literacy should come at every age. And I really encourage families and parents specifically to have those conversations with their kids at every single age, whether they're elementary age and they're talking about what money is for the first time, to middle school and maybe getting them their first debit card, to high school. You should have very transparent conversations with your kids, because I do like to remind families that your kids are going to see it a couple times in their lives. Usually paying for college is one of those conversations when the full family finances get revealed, because they're filling out the FAFSA and the kids are learning about this stuff. And then there's a lot of kids and now 20 or 30-year-olds that are having to take care of their aging parents. And so these money conversations also come up again, full family finances. So there's really no reason to hide it, but a lot of people learn through observation. So if you're showing them, you're telling them, you're being transparent with your finances, it can go a long way to boost that financial literacy.
Yeah, I like this idea of learning through observation. How might parents encourage learning through observation with investing?
They got to show them the accounts. I remember that was very impactful for me when I was a young adult. So one of my earliest memories was when I was 13, my dad was doing his taxes, and he was doing, a tax software program. And I was asking him, what are all these things? And he had dividend income and investment income, and he started showing me. And it was really exciting to see that, wait, there are these things out there that just give you money. And of course, it's a lot more complicated than that, but it was really fun to see as a young child. And And seeing that stuff really helps understand it. And so for families, you can show the 401k statements. You can help your children understand what these investments are. If you're investing outside of that, you can show them what those accounts are. Teach them what stocks you might have, or what a mutual fund is, or why you're choosing this ETF and what that means to you, because they can see, they can learn, they can understand. And of course, they're going to make their own decisions, but that's also important.
What are the top things you think people should look for in an investment app?
You know, that's a great one, because when I started investing, investment apps didn't even exist. So I love the fact that they do exist today. So first is really ease of use. Can you open the account, understand what you're getting, know what you're investing in? Of course, low cost, no commissions. I also think back to when I started and I was paying about $9 to trade or invest. And when you had $100 to start with, I suddenly lost 9% of all my investment just to fees. So when you're looking to invest, really try to lower those fees, keep them to no commissions. And then also a lot of tools to help you navigate it, especially for first-time investors. Like, what does this mean? How do I start? Ease of use. Those things are all extremely important.
Do you have an investing role model, or did you have an investing role model when you got started?
You know, I probably needed an investing role model when I got started. As I mentioned earlier too, I got into it by buying individual stocks, and it worked out well for a minute, and then it didn't work out so well for a minute. But when it didn't work out so well is also when I stumbled upon a few communities that I would say are more investing role models. So I stumbled upon the Bogglehead community and simple long-term investing focused on low-cost index funds. And that really stuck out to me, especially when you see the data around that. If you just invest in all the stocks through an ETF or a mutual fund, you get the total stock market growth. And there's a lot of number and data behind that. And so that was really exciting to me, but it was also simple, and I liked that. And that's really kind of stuck with me through the years.
You talked about index investing and the importance of the community in helping you to understand the power of the long-term thinking in indexes. How do you balance that with some of the short-term gains that people see in different investment strategies versus having a long-term outlook on your investments?
Well, first, I always like to remind people that, you know, people win the lottery every day. I think 1 million people win the lottery in America every year. But that doesn't mean playing the lottery is a great investment strategy. And people go to Vegas. Some people win in Vegas. A lot of people don't win in Vegas. Also doesn't make it a great investing strategy. And you know, when you're investing in stocks, not to say that it's a lottery or a gamble, but you don't know what the price in the future holds for any individual company. And it's a combination of financial literacy and teaching them what an individual stock is versus what an index fund and a mutual fund is, and helping them understand that one stock can go up and down and all around. But if you have all the stocks or a lot of stocks, you hedge some of that volatility, but you also get the growth of the larger economy or the larger sector as a whole. And so there's a large financial literacy component. But I also encourage young adults to get started with what they're comfortable with. You know, a big part of the equation is just getting started. And if that means that you want to invest in one stock to see what it's like, please do. At least put some money in the account. Try it, learn, understand, get your feet wet. The other big part of the goal is just putting as much money into the accounts as you possibly can. And one single small investment in a stock is not going to make or break your future retirement. But if you learn something and maybe you diversify your portfolio and keep putting money into the account, that will go a long way to building your future wealth.
Yeah. What are some of the most common questions that you get from your audience?
It goes back to, what do things mean? A lot of definitions. How do I get started? And then, how do I keep up the momentum once I get started? So they've opened the account, maybe there's some money in there. What's next? I think it's scary that people don't realize that if you put money into the IRA, for example, that doesn't mean you've actually invested. It just means that there's money in the account. You got to do a second step to pull the trigger and actually invest in an investment product. And so we really like to educate people through that process and help them understand. And then, how do you keep it up? How do you do it again?
What are some tips that you offer people for how they maintain their investment philosophy?
I really like to automate it as much as you possibly can. So for a lot of people, they have workplace options, maybe a 401k or 403b. automate that right out of your paycheck. But a lot of people also don't realize that you can automate direct deposits from your paycheck to a brokerage account or an investing account. If you have a goal of $100 a month, you get paid twice a month, $50 a paycheck right into that account. You can also set it up from the account side and have an automatic deposit in there. But if you automate it, it suddenly just magically happens.
What's more exhilarating, making a lot of money on an investment or seeing a video go viral?
Honestly, seeing a video go viral. It's so unexpected, and the comments are really more exciting than actually the view count and seeing what people are saying about the video. Since I'm a long-term investor, it's just let the money grow into the future, and I'm not super concerned about any individual investment going up, down. But those video views, those are fun.
What are some of your favorite comments that you've received?
One of the ones that sticks out the most to me isn't necessarily a video comment, but since I've been doing this for 15 years, you don't necessarily know the impact you have on someone's personal finances because this is a long-term game. But it's really heartwarming when someone reaches out that I emailed or we talked to 7, 8 years ago, and they said, hey, I listened to your advice and I just made my final student loan payment. And that is really fun to see.
How do you balance it all with the content you create, being a father, and keeping up with your investments?
You know, it's really about priorities. So family is first to me. It's one of the reasons I left full-time jobs and do the content creation full-time now because it gives me the flexibility to spend time with my family, go to kids' sporting events, and being there for them. The great thing about working online is I can do it from anywhere at any time. And that's also been a huge goal for me is maybe I work when the kids are asleep and that's when I write an article. Or, maybe I do it before they wake up in the morning. Definitely do it while they're at school in the day. So really running our business around their schedule is very great and really helpful. And then when it comes to investing, since I am a long-term investor, I really check on my investments about 4 times a year. Not to say that I don't have a net worth tracker that has my budget and everything, I can see it, but really just making sure that we've made our IRA contributions and things. Right around tax time's always a good one for me. You get all those documents in the mail, and I'm like, oh, maybe we should look and see what some of these things are. And so having those check-ins on our investments and our finances, about 4 times a year. It doesn't take a lot of time.